What's going on, bottom line viewers? It's Dylan here for your 2017 NCAA March Madness Day 1 recap. Of course, March Madness takes over the globe in the middle of March and the beginning of April, and today is the very first day of the 2017 tournament. So I decided, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and give it a recap. I'm not going to be able to do one tomorrow for the end of the round of 64, but I decided, I watched a lot of good content today. I watched a lot of close games. I watched a lot of good bangers. So I decided, you know what, I'm going to come over here as a casual fan. I'm going to give you my analysis, who I'm predicting to go on to the next round, and I will be back here a couple of more times during the next couple of weeks for NCAA March Madness. I will talk about it on Sunday for the round of 32 recap, and I will finish that off, and then when Wednesday pops up, Adam will be here to help me out with these recaps. So this is just more of a day one. Here we go. Here's my reactions and everything. So let's go ahead and get started with these recaps. Now, here's a caution. I'm not a huge fan of NCAA basketball. I really like it, but I'm not like the in-depth analysis that I usually am in NBA, NFL, WWE, all that kind of thing. So this is a little bit different for me. I'm trying to do something different, and we'll see how it goes. So let's go ahead and get started. First game of the day, if I can speak English, was Notre Dame, the 5 seed, going against 12 seed Princeton. Notre Dame ended up getting the victory by 2 points, barely screeching out a victory, 60-58. They hang on for the victory. Your leading scores for that for Princeton was Spencer Wise, 15 points, 6 of 11 shooting. And for Notre Dame, we had Bonzi Colson, 18 points on 6 of 13 shooting. For rebounds, Stephen Cook for Princeton had 7 rebounds, and Steve Vastura with 8 rebounds. And then assists, Spencer Wells, again, 4 assists, and Matt Farrell, 4 assists. So what I saw in this game as more of a casual viewer was that Notre Dame has continued to play sloppy basketball. They're not consistent, and overall the execution of what should be a good offense has really struggled. So I've seen them play good basketball here and there, but during the stretch I was thinking Princeton could be able to make this upset victory happen, and they were very, very close. It came down to the wire. They missed the 3-pointer for the victory. So Notre Dame screeches out a victory. They're going to play 4th seed West Virginia, which I will talk about their game here in a little bit. But Notre Dame was looked at as one of these teams that wasn't really going to make an impact in the tournament because of their inconsistent play, and I think today really showed it. Princeton had some opportunities to get in there. They were playing some good basketball at times, but Notre Dame was able to squeak out a victory, but I don't know how much more that's going to last with bigger and better teams to come. So Notre Dame, you squeaked out a victory against a 12 seed. We usually see 12 seed beat a 5 seed. We'll actually talk about that later, but this was not the one. Next game here, we have number 12 seed UNC Willmington versus 5 seed Virginia. Virginia squeaks out a 5 over 12 seed victory, 76-71. For your points here, Chris Flemings for Willmington, 18 points on 7 of 16 shooting, and London Parantis, 24 points on 9 of 14 shooting. For rebounds, Devontae Kaycock, I think that's how you pronounce it, 15 rebounds for Willmington and 7 rebounds for Devin Hall. And then Jordan Talley of Willmington got 5 assists for the leading there, and London again for 3 assists. In this game, again, a Virginia team at number 5 seed is maybe one of the biggest kryptonites in basketball for college, because Virginia does not play as great as you would say it is. It's not as defensively strong as it usually is over the last couple of years, and their offense seems to make big plays at times. They did sink a clutch shot to end this game, but at multiple points in the game, you could say Willmington was going to be able to get the upset victory, and it just wasn't to be. Virginia squeaks out a victory here in the opening round. I'll actually load it here in a second, but in this game, they just didn't play as a cohesive unit like you would want them to. Where is Virginia on? Here we go. They're going to play Florida in the next round, which, again, I will talk about here in a little bit. But Virginia, they were down 15 at one point, so they really had to make an impact very quickly in order to win this game, and they were. But with a Florida team that does look pretty good at times, you have to wonder how long Virginia's going to be. It's another team that you see in there, you're like, I want to pick the other team for the upset. That's why I think the 5th seed is one of the biggest kryptonites in college. So for them, struggling game, possibly something good could happen if they are able to figure out the bad things from this game and are able to move on from it. Next game, we had 13th seed Winthrop versus number 4 Butler. Butler was able to pick up the victory 76-64. Pretty much it was defense and some good shooting by Woodson. Avery Woodson, 18 points, 6 of 10 shooting. Xavier Cooks, you have to give credit to Winthrop, 23 points on 10 of 22 shooting. There were good things about each team. You did like the heart of Winthrop. They were really trying to be focused and able to try to connect some points. They were down 14 going into the half, and Butler just had their game. Butler is always a confident team. They're always one of those teams that are sneakily trying to make their way into a later part in the tournament. And with a team like Winthrop, I didn't really expect this to be much of a challenge. It was one of the easier games to predict for myself, and Butler did a pretty good job of that. Their defense is one of the best in the country. It's one of the most underrated in the country, in my opinion, from what I've seen. So Butler did a good job of able to make good shots, have contested rebounds, and were able to do something that I'm usually expecting out of Butler. So Butler, they're going to move on. They're going to play Middle Tennessee, which may be a better thing for them considering who they were going to play had they won their contest, which I'll talk about in a minute. But Butler picks up a nice victory, a little bit of a momentum, on their good side. Maybe not the best because it wasn't the greatest team, but overall a good first win for a team that's looking to make some moves in this tournament. Next up, we had 16th seed South Dakota State versus number 1 Gonzaga. Of course, the 16th seed won. I'm just joking. Gonzaga won 66-46. Actually, at one point, South Dakota State was leading it was 29-28, I believe, right before the half. Gonzaga was able to pick up the last point, but actually, no, that's the Villanova game. But South Dakota State did lead at one point in this game. So you were like, oh, is South Dakota State going to make some moves? Are they going to be able to play with Gonzaga? I think it was more of South Dakota State's defense that was able to keep them in. But at the end of the day, Gonzaga, 40 points in the second half to South Dakota State's 24, and they started off rough in the first 10 minutes of that second half. They weren't able to come back. So Jordan Matthews was the leading scorer for Gonzaga, 16 points off 5 of 11 shooting, and Mike Daum for South Dakota State, 17 points off of 7 of 16 shooting. So Gonzaga here, they didn't look their best. You could see that there are some things that would make this team questionable down the stretch. You're playing a 16 seed and you struggle. People are going to pick apart your weaknesses, and people aren't going to like that. They're going to play Northwestern next, and I'm really looking forward to that matchup. It's one of the better ones created out of day one. So we'll talk about Northwestern again in a minute. But Gonzaga maybe having some struggles. Maybe it was just getting over the hype of being one of the number 1 seeds in the tournament. Who knows? But Gonzaga picks up the victory. Now we have 13th seed Bucknell versus number 4 seed West Virginia. West Virginia picks up the victory 86-80. Bucknell was really trying to put the gas pedal on West Virginia. They were really trying to make this a contested game. And West Virginia, again, I feel like there's a couple of teams in this tournament that you look at and you're like, I want to pick the upset because I don't have trust in this team. However, West Virginia got it done for the Big 12. They got a couple of key plays, were able to make it down the stretch, and when Bucknell would have a good stretch of 7 or 8 points, West Virginia would stop it and create their own run to stop any momentum from getting out of control. So West Virginia's leading scorer was Tariq Phillip, 16 points on 4 of 8 shooting, with 7 of 7 for the free throw line. And for Bucknell, you had Kimball McKenzie, 23 points on 7 of 15 shooting. So West Virginia, not the greatest team in the world. They're going to play Notre Dame, which is probably going to be one of the more intriguing matchups of the round of 32, just because there are 2 teams that I don't really have that much faith in. But I'm picking West Virginia in that game. Again, I'll go over what I think is going to happen in the round of 32, at least from day one, at the end of the video. But for me, this team needs to grow. They need to develop more as a system. I think there were key plays where they were able to make good shots, and they were defensively pretty bad. Honestly, they were not as good as I was expecting them to be. So that's something they're going to have to do against the Notre Dame team that at times with the 3-pointers and everything could make a difference. So we'll see how it goes for them. But they get the nice victory over Bucknell here. Next up, we have 13th seed ETSU facing off against number 4 seed Florida. Florida picking up the win 80-65. Devin Robinson was getting hot from the start. 24 points, 10 of 17 shooting on the night. He was pretty good. He was pretty dominant for Florida. I did like the shooting game of Florida, and we had a nice surge in the start of the second half for Florida to make this a game to where Florida could feel comfortable and going up against – who are they? I forgot who they're going up against. I have to load up the bracket once more. They are going to place Virginia. And I think Florida has a more comfortable advantage in the 5-4 department than some of these other 4 seeds because Virginia, like I said in the beginning, is a little bit shaky in their rotation. And I think Florida is quite underrated in how they work around their centerpieces. They're able to make good plays with their centers. They're able to get good shots from the 3. They're able to play solid defense at times, a little shaky here and there. They can make some mistakes, but I think Florida has a very good advantage over a team like Virginia. So I think this is a key matchup for Florida. They get the nice victory, 13th seed. I didn't see that many problems from them, and it's probably one of the better wins of today. Now let's get to the first big upset. I believe it's the first upset we're talking about here. Yes, it is. First upset of the day goes to 12th seed Middle Tennessee over 5 seed Minnesota, 81-72. Off the start, you could tell there were some things about both teams that you didn't really think about, right? Middle Tennessee didn't look like a 12th seed. They looked like a really, really good team, a team that has a lot of family in it, like a really good cohesive unit. They were able to make big plays, have great shots. They had a really good stretch in the start of the second half to get them going and really took control from there. Minnesota looked dysfunctional, and I really was expecting them to at least get to the round of 32 to play a contested game against Butler. But what I saw out of here was dysfunction, no organization. Lynch and a couple of other people were getting in foul trouble very quickly. Lynch had 3 fouls within a minute 18 seconds into the game in terms of him being on the court. So, there was a lot of things in Minnesota's game plan that was just not organized at all. That's one of the biggest shockers. I thought they were going to be more organized, especially in the Big Ten tournament. I saw some good things, but Middle Tennessee played like they weren't a 12 seed. They played like they were a 5 seed, and that's really impressive. They're going to play Butler, which I think will be a very interesting matchup, especially since Middle Tennessee last year made an upset, got into, I believe it was the Sweet 16. Correct me if I'm wrong, but they at least got into the round of 32 with the upset. So Middle Tennessee, no, they were a 15 seed last year, and they got to the round of 32, but they weren't able to go further. I remember that. But this 12 seed is looking a lot better, and a really good overall game for them. Of course, Reggie Upshaw had the most points, 19 points, 7 of 13 shooting. But I think this team is somewhat of not like the upset that really wasn't an upset. Once you looked at the game, you could clearly tell one team was better than the other. So maybe, I guess, an upset, but not really over here on the first one. Next up, we had one of the most competitive games of the night. Number 9 seed Vanderbilt versus number 8 seed Northwestern. Northwestern gets the victory, 68-66 by the skin of their teeth. It was an absolutely crazy finish to the game. Northwestern early on was really, really good at dominating this game. They were really able to focus on getting points and then going back to the other side of the court and making really good defensive stops. And that's what I was liking about Northwestern. They were coming in here. They won their tournament. They were able to get some momentum. This is their first time being in the tournament. Of course, you probably heard it a million times. But you were really interested to see how Northwestern was going to play. And Vanderbilt, I have to give them, I have to say this on myself. I was thinking they were going to win this game. But early on, I was like, Northwestern has a lot of confidence in them. And you really have something that's impressive with this team. I'm sorry that there's comments on here. Actually, I'm going to look here at the comments before I keep going. So Boda's talking about there's no big upsets. You're kind of right. We did have a 5-12 seed upset, but there's some other stuff. UCLA taking it all the way from Ezekiel. Perhaps. I actually predicted them on the channel. If you go check back from a couple days ago that I predicted them to go all the way. So they said Duke. One person says Duke could get upset by Troy. So, I don't know. I don't think so, but that would be an interesting 2-15 seed, especially since Duke has actually lost to a 15 seed before. But with Northwestern's case, I really enjoyed the gameplay that they had. And then it became a contested game at the very, very end. Vanderbilt was making shots. They were having a nice run. And one of the craziest things I've seen in a March Madness game in quite a bit of time. So I don't even know how to begin this. So Vanderbilt gets the shot. They take a 1-point lead. This is one of their first leads in the game. Then Northwestern takes the ball up, and a Vanderbilt player, I forgot who Fisher Davis, he fouled him on purpose. And you're like, you have a 1-point lead with 15 seconds left. Apparently, he didn't know that they were in the lead. He thought they were behind. So Northwestern took 2 free throws and won the game. It's probably one of the most sad things on the planet to see something like that, make a big mistake like that at the biggest stage. But Northwestern, you got to give them a lot of credit. They have a lot of heart. They're going to play a number 1 seed next time they're up. Let me go through and see who they're playing. They're going to play Gonzaga. So maybe this is a good game. This is going to be one of the more contested matchups, especially since we've seen Gonzaga in their shortcomings against a 16 seed. So Northwestern, nice heart-to-heart victory. It gets you going. Let's see if the momentum can continue. Number 11 seed Xavier versus number 6 seed Maryland. Xavier with the upset, 76-65. I know somebody on here and my predictions was talking about Maryland going all the way. I'm sorry, brother. Xavier was the better team. They were shooting very, very well. Maryland was just not able to pull it off. They were at times consistent and at times shooting a lot of threes, a shit ton of threes, to a exceeding degree. But Xavier was able to work as a great unit and make something work out of a team that I honestly didn't think was going to go far. They had lost quite a bit of momentum since the start of the year, but Xavier was able to make a nice game out of itself and beat a Maryland team that was, I don't know what boat they would be considered in. Are they good? Were they bad? I guess they were bad considering they didn't get past this point, but Xavier moves on. You had Trayvon, I think that's how you say it, Blitt, 21 points on 7 of 15 shooting. Kevin Herter, 19 points on 5 of 13 shooting. So not that great for the Maryland squad with their best shooter going 5 of 13. Xavier is moving on in the tournament. I'm moving over here to see who they're playing. They're going to play FSU, which we'll talk about in a minute. But the upset, people were taking Xavier over Maryland because Maryland was inconsistent, and it showed. Number 16 seed Mount St. Mary's versus number 1 Villanova. Villanova picks up the 20-point victory over 16 seed. Again, this is the second time here, but it is an interesting game. Villanova, 76-56. At one point, Mount St. Mary's had a victory or had the lead. The score going into half was 30-29 at half. Villanova was leading by 1 point, and they're the number 1 overall seed. So you're like, oh, no. And basically, they started slow. And they finished very freaking hard. 46 points in the second half. You're like, oh, God, that's crazy. How do they do it? How were they able to put the gas pedal on? Well, they were able to pull their head out of their ass, basically. Mount St. Mary's was really trying hard to become the first 16 seed ever, but it just wasn't meant to be. When you're playing Villanova, you got to play hard, and they started off incredibly slow. They weren't able to score for the first 10 minutes of the second half. They weren't able to make the shots necessary to stay up with the momentum of Villanova. Villanova took advantage, getting the win by 20. So Villanova, you moved on. I don't think it's that much of a concern. You should kind of start off with a slow half, but you're going to have to do better against some of these bigger teams in the tournament. Villanova, I don't even know where Villanova is on this bracket here. They're going to play Wisconsin next round, so we'll talk about these matchups here in just a minute for the round of 32. Number 10 VCU versus number 7 seed St. Mary's. St. Mary's pulls out the 8-point victory, 85-77. For me, I was picking VCU in this game. I thought they were more of a team that could shoot the 3 ball, could make some good play some good plays, down the stretch, and were the comeback kids, and they weren't. There were some times where they could make the comeback. They were really, really trying hard, and they even outscored St. Mary's in the second half, and they scored 46 points in the second half. However, so many fouls in this game. So many fouls. It was like 54, if I'm not mistaken, fouls in this game. Ridiculous. Jaquan Lewis, who was absolutely killing himself on the court, 30 points, 12 of 28 shooting, and Jack Landell, 18 points from 6 of 8 shooting. This game was very competitive. In the first half, it was very slow, and you could see St. Mary's was being a better basketball team, and I didn't think they were going to be able to finish. But they got to give them credit. They beat a VCU team that always seems to really try hard in these big moments. And, VCU is moving on. So good game for them. They get a little bit of momentum going into their next game. Number 13 seed Vermont versus 4th seed Purdue. Purdue picks up the 10-point victory, 80-70. With Purdue, I see a team that, again, can make some good plays. They can make some good shots and can be defensive. However, throughout a good portion of this game until about the last 7 or 8 minutes, you could see that they were letting this team on. It was more of, is Vermont going to stop themselves, or is Purdue going to make the stops? And Purdue wasn't really making the stops. It was Vermont not making the shots. You see what I did there? Rhyme time with Dylan Villa? I'm sorry. So Vermont, not exactly the best shooting team on the planet. They did make some good plays. There were a lot of the in-the-paint shots, and they did make some contested threes. But at the end of the day, Purdue making better plays and smarter plays down the stretch to win by 10. Purdue is moving on. They are going to play Iowa State in the round of 32. We'll get to these games at the end. So Purdue with a disappointing but okay victory against Vermont. Number 14 seed Florida Gulf Coast. You probably heard that team's name in the last couple of years. Versus number 3 seed Florida State. Florida Gulf Coast did not pick up the victory. Florida State won by 6, 86-80. This game was really competitive. It was actually one of the more fun games of the tournament so far. And you could see that there were some weaknesses in Florida State's game and their plan and all that. Florida Gulf Coast is a competitive team. They want to go out there and impress. And because they've done this before, they're obviously going to try very, very hard to do it again. 3 seed Florida State, I've seen a lot of good things about them, and I've seen some things that make me worry about them later on in the tournament, especially when you're going to go up against some of the better teams in the tournament like Duke, Kentucky, UCLA, Gonzaga, Villanova, etc. So, I've seen good things from them. They're a good rebounding team. They really know how to do good in the paint. Dwayne Bacon, 25 points, 11 of 17 shooting. So there are good things about this team. And they did beat a nice Florida Gulf Coast team, but 6-point difference, maybe that's going to help them struggle later on. Talk about that game in the future after the end of this talk of the round of 64, but not a good start, not a great start for Florida. But if you're putting up 86 points, that's impressive. So they need to play a lot more defense is the key. We've got 3 more games to talk about here. One's still going on, but it's a 20-point route, so I'm just going to go ahead and finish that one off. We had number 9 seed Virginia Tech versus 8 seed Wisconsin. Wisconsin picking up the victory, 84-74. A lot of these 10-point differentials. I wonder why that is. Wisconsin, I thought, was a really good team coming into this tournament. I thought they were going to be somewhere in the 5th or 6th seed category. They got in 8th, and I was like, you're crazy. So, there were some really good shooting efforts tonight. I think this was the shooting squad. 50 points in the second half. Bronson Coyne, I believe that's how you pronounce it. Don't kill me if that's not how you pronounce it. With 8 threes, he really helped tonight. 28 points, 9 of 21 shooting from the field. And overall, I just think this was a nice, cohesive unit. Virginia Tech, I think at times plays sloppy. They were able to go down the court and make some big plays. However, they were not able to stop the plays of Wisconsin. I think that was the key. They were able to keep up with Wisconsin, make some good shots, go down, make a 3, timeout with, down 1. But they weren't able to come off that timeout and stop Wisconsin. And that's what you're going to have to do to win these tournament games, is to stop. Even though you can score, a good 44 points in the second half, you're going to have to make some stops. And you can't win a game in March Madness and give up 50 points. It's impossible. So Wisconsin moving on. Number 12 seed Nevada versus number 5 seed Iowa State. Iowa State picking up the victory 84-73. Early on, this was a snooze fest, 40-27. I was like, I think Iowa State's got this in the bag. Nevada started picking it up a little bit, scoring some more points, able to create get some turnovers from Iowa State. They were making it a little bit more intriguing. However, at the end, Iowa State was able to get the scoring. Monte Morris with 19 points. And 8 rebounds and 8 assists, so he was very close to a triple-double, and you're going to need that from Iowa State. But what I saw in the first half and the finish of the second half is that this is a very underrated Iowa State team. A lot of people are not giving Iowa State the credit that they deserve. They're a very underrated team. They played some good teams over the season. They've beaten a team like Kansas that we'll get into. They'll play tomorrow. I won't talk about them specifically, unfortunately, but Iowa State gets underrated a lot of the time, and I think they're going to make a good run in this tournament. And with this play, I think they've done a good job of making key rebounds, good assists, making good shots, not making dumb decisions, turning over the ball a very few amount of times, especially down the stretch. And that's what you're going to need out of Iowa State team. So Iowa State, they're going to move on. I think they're a team to look forward to. And I know this game is still going on. It's only 25 seconds. You can't see my TV, so you don't know what the fuck I'm pointing at. But Arizona, with 20 seconds left, has scored the first 100-point game of the tournament. Right now it's 100-82. Let's go ahead and add 3. Nope, I'm not adding 3. The game's basically over. I'll just wait till it's 0 seconds. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Well, not 2 seconds left, whatever. So, yeah, 100-82. Arizona gets the victory over North Dakota. North Dakota was actually playing really good basketball. I was liking what they were doing in this game up until a certain point where Arizona just decided, we're going to freaking choke your neck out. Like, we're going to put more points on the board. So, Arizona, nice shooting, and now the final is 182. It just finished. So, good timing on me for this video. Arizona did a really good job of connecting with a lot of these scoring matchups. They were able to present themselves with good shots. 10 of 21 for Hooker with 25 points. That's great. That was for North Dakota. For Arizona, you got 18, 10, 20, 12, and 20 on their starters. So every starter at least scored 10 points in this game. That's incredible. You're going to need that to continue this ride, which I think Arizona, and again, is another underrated team. Even though they're a 2 seed, there's not a lot of hype about them going further on in the tournament. But I think this is a team that's going to do really good further on. So let's go ahead and get into our round of 32 for the teams that have already played today and who I think is going to win. For you guys just joining in, I'm not going to be on Friday. I'm not going to be able to talk about the end of the round of 64 because I'm working while these games are going on, while the night games are going on, so I'm not going to be able to really talk about games I haven't watched. But do check me out on Sunday when I give a round of 32 recap, and I'll talk about that live, and AC will join me for the rest of the recaps. So let's go ahead and get into what we have so far presented to us. Wisconsin is going to face off against Villanova in the round of 32. I do like both of these teams. I think Wisconsin's very underrated, and Villanova is a good scoring team. However, I'm going to pick Villanova in this game over Wisconsin. I just see too many things with the best team in the country against a Wisconsin team that does know how to shoot the threes, and that's what they're gonna have to do, is score the threes around the perimeter. But Villanova is the stronger overall team, and that's what they're gonna have to do to win. So I believe Villanova will pick up the victory. Number 5 seed Virginia versus number 4 seed Florida. If anything, what you have seen from this video is that there's some 5 teams that are struggling hard, and I think Virginia is one of those 5 seeds that struggles very, very hard. Florida can pick up the rebounds and shoot very well, and they play a really good defense, and Virginia is very sloppy at times. So that in that sense, I'm picking Florida over Virginia. I just think they're the more complete team that's not going to make too many mistakes and move on to the Sweet 16. Gonzaga versus Northwestern. I'm saying this right now in terms of the games that have already been played out for us. This is going to be the most interesting game of the round of 32. The Northwestern heart is there, and I really like that. I'm really looking forward to seeing what they're going to bring to the table, maybe to create the upset over the number 1 seed. And if there's going to be a number 1 seed upsetted in the round of 32, I believe it will be Gonzaga. However, I'm going to pick Gonzaga because in my heart, I think they are able to fix the hiccups that they had in game 1. They were able to only give up 46 points. So the defense was quite well. I think they're going to be able to do that again. It's going to be a close matchup. I think within 6 to 8 points. But at the end of the day, I think Gonzaga is the better team, and they're going to move on. Notre Dame, 5 seed versus number 4 seed West Virginia. This is two of the more struggling teams in terms of the tournament, in my opinion, and they were barely able to squeak out some victories. 2 points for Notre Dame and 6 points for West Virginia over struggling teams. So it's going to be interesting or not struggling teams, over lower seed teams. So it's going to be interesting to see how they play. I'm going West Virginia on this because Notre Dame has really taken a back step, in my opinion, and they were able to get the 2-point victory here today, but I don't see them moving on and making an impact in this tournament. So I think West Virginia will get the nice victory. Sorry, my nose is kind of clogging up at the end of this video. Number 11 seed Xavier versus number 3 seed Florida State. I talked about Florida State. Maybe this will be the shortcoming later on in the tournament. However, Xavier is not exactly the test that's needed for them to showcase all their disappointments. And I don't think they're going to be that great of a team in order to dethrone Florida State. So I'm going to pick Florida State in this round. However, I think Xavier will give a nice shooting matchup for them. St. Mary's versus Arizona is the second to last matchup here. No, third to last matchup I'm talking about. St. Mary's versus Arizona. We just saw Arizona put up 100 freaking points. And St. Mary's did have a nice shooting matchup against VCU. I don't think they're going to be able to hold on to Arizona, though. I think Arizona's scoring is absolutely electric. It's one of the best in the country. And St. Mary's is just going to have to put a lot of time and defense into that game in order to win. So I'm picking Arizona. Number 5 seed Iowa State versus number 4 seed Purdue. I'm telling you, Iowa State's one of the most underrated teams in the country, and therefore I believe they're going to win over Purdue. If Purdue is going to be able to win, they're going to have to make good shots. They're going to have to go in hard in the paint and make Iowa State do what they did in the beginning of the second half, to create turnovers. So I'm predicting Iowa State. Maybe Purdue puts up a good game, especially with the 5-4 seed, but I'm picking Iowa State. And the last game that we have presented here is Middle Tennessee, 12 seed versus 4 seed Butler. This is going to be an interesting game because I really do like what I saw out of Middle Tennessee today. And Butler's one of those teams that always wants to make their impact with this kind of seed, and they're always looked at as a little bit underrated. Here, although I really like the Middle Tennessee team, I'm picking Butler. They're confident, they're strong, and they're able to create something as a group, as a unit that I really do enjoy watching. So overall, I think there will be a good team for Butler. Okay, there we go. I'm just getting up the comments that I have here from Bodo. Overall, I think the better team is Butler. And even though Middle Tennessee has done a couple of good things here in this tournament and a couple of good things across the last couple tournaments, I think time will catch up to them, and Butler will get the victory. So thank you guys for watching this day 1 recap of the March Madness tournament. Thank you guys for commenting, especially Bodo. Arian was in the chat. So there were some good guys commenting on the chat. I appreciate you guys for the love. If you guys enjoyed this video, like the video, of course, comment below your thoughts on the tournament. Did I do a good job recapping? What were your favorite games of the tournament so far? There's a lot more games to come, so trust me, we're going to have more recaps on the channel. AC, Adam, will be on with me next week. He's enjoying the good times in Hawaii, so I'll let him have his share there. He doesn't have to join me right now, so he can be there. And subscribe to the Bottom Line View if you're not already. In 2 weeks from today, where I'm counting this as Friday, even though it's Thursday night, 2 weeks from today, I will be in Florida with Mitch, Mike, and Brett for WrestleMania. So if you guys are wanting to get exclusive WrestleMania content live, you better stay tuned for the Bottom Line View in 2 weeks, because we're going to release some really good bangers. We're going to go to Hall of Fame on Friday, and the We the People Roundtable podcast will be absolutely fantastic. We're talking about WrestleMania memories and favorite moments, It's just going to be a lot of fun. Stay tuned. It's going to be late after the Hall of Fame show on Friday night. So that's going to be one of my favorite videos of that day. Saturday is Takeover. We're going to Access. We're going to JR's Q&A. Sunday, we're going to go to Access again to meet Edge, and then WrestleMania. Monday is Monday Night Raw. Tuesday for Mike, Mitch, and Brett is going to be for SmackDown. So that's going to be a really fun weekend. It's just 2 weeks away. So stay tuned for that. It's going to be a lot of great content here. And stay tuned for March Madness. Stay tuned for football. Everything in between. Mitch is creating some bangers right now with wrestling. He's got a what-if video for WWE. What if WrestleMania never happened? And he's also helping me edit my We the People podcast. They're going to come out in the next couple of weeks. So I appreciate you guys for the love. It's Dylan from The Bottom Line View. Thank you very much, and peace.